Today you've given dana, you've provided me with food to live for another 24 hours and practice the holy life. So sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That means excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. And then you have taken Panchasila, the 5 precepts. So number 1, dana. This is one of the 10 parami, perfections in life. So dana, giving. Number 2, sila. You have taken tisanana and panchasila, the 5 precepts, in order to live a disciplined, virtuous, and moral life. But the 5 precepts are very simple, and if you put them all together, they just mean do no harm. Do no harm to yourself and do no harm to others. The doctor in our presence will probably know from his Hippocratic oath that it begins with somewhere like, first do no harm. Is that correct, Doctor? Yes. Yes. Very important part of life is that we first do no harm. To ourselves, to others, to all living beings. By keeping sila, 5 precepts, not killing, not stealing, refraining from sexual misconduct, not lying, and not taking any intoxicants, drugs or alcohol. By keeping these 5 precepts, not only are we doing no harm to ourselves, we are doing no harm to others or any living beings. Also, we are giving the greatest gift of dana that we can give. Do you know what that gift is? It is fearlessness. By keeping the 5 precepts and doing no harm to yourself or to others, you are giving all those around you, all beings in fact, even animals, fearlessness. They have no reason to fear you, you have no reason to fear them, and this is the greatest gift you can give. So taking sila is also dana. It is the greatest form of dana. So you've done so much good already in this short time. I think I arrived at about 10:30 and it's probably maybe 12:30. So in 2 hours, we've had some puja, some ceremony, some chanting, and I'm not sure that you understand the meaning of that, which is okay. The important thing is the understanding, and we were in the puja just reminding ourselves of the importance of sila and dana in our daily lives. So it's been a very productive couple of hours for you and for me. I've eaten and I'm fearless in your presence, and hopefully you mine. We strive to keep the precepts, to do no harm, and this then leads us on to the other part of the practice, the next part of the practice. And that is the practice of samadhi. The Buddha taught very simply, he taught, and I'm not just making it simple, he taught it simply. There may be 84,000 suttas, but they all said one thing. There is suffering and an end to suffering. Okay? Now the 4 noble truths, there is suffering. There is a cause of suffering. there is an end of suffering, and there is a path leading to the end of suffering, are what the Buddha taught. The path leading towards the end of suffering being the bit we do. We follow the eightfold path, which can be divided into sections 1, 2 and 3 of sila, moral virtue, keeping precepts. Samadhi, which is meditation, practicing meditation. And panya, which is wisdom, developing wisdom. Now that's not wisdom in the intellectual sense. It's not learning to recite the Tripitaka in 15 different languages, including Pali, or translating it into 15 different languages. It's not knowing inside out the Encyclopedia Britannica or Wikipedia or whatever it would be called, the equivalent these days. It's not that kind of intelligence. That is just information. Information that we pick up and we learn through our lives like a computer, building up tons and tons of facts and figures and information. That's not wisdom. It's knowledge. It's learning. You have to learn a lot to work in the medical industry or to be a lawyer, because if you get it wrong, it causes some big problems for people. So you know the facts. That is intelligence. It's very important in our lives in order that you don't do any harm. But it isn't wisdom. When you're lying on your deathbed, facing death, which is the only thing you can be sure of, it doesn't matter how many books you've read or what you know, it will not help you at that point in time. You may know exactly why and how you're dying, what's going wrong in your body, or what's going wrong outside to cause you to die. You may know all of the details about the gun and how it's manufactured that the man is holding and that he's about to shoot you with. But it won't help you dying. But what will help you dying is knowing you've led a good life, you've done no harm, and you have really enjoyed your life to the best of your ability without causing any harm. So you've made the most of it. Then you will die relaxed, free from desire. Because the Buddha said in the Four Noble Truths, the second noble truth is there is a cause of suffering. Now this cause of suffering is desire. It is wanting. It's just that simple. If we want something and we can't have it, what happens? Well, we suffer, yes? If we've got something we don't want, we've got some pain, what happens? We suffer, yes? You can answer. Yes, yes is fine. Hopefully you're listening attentively and not just gone to sleep. That's what I'm hoping. So nodder here is nodding furiously. Good. So suffering is caused by desire. So if you're lying on your deathbed about to die and you still wish you'd done this, wish you'd done that, wish you hadn't done this, wish you hadn't done that, wish you hadn't said this, wish you hadn't said that, or wish you'd said this, and wish you'd said that. If this is your situation, you're going to be unsatisfied. You're going to be regretful. You're going to be suffering. So what we do in meditation, so remember, sila, morals, virtue, doing no harm. Samadhi, meditation. Panya, wisdom. Okay. So what we do, this second part of the Noble Eightfold Path, meditation, is we sit, we watch, and we understand how our minds work, how that thing we call desire or wanting, how that arises, how it comes about, what makes it, what it is, fully understanding desire and the sheer nature of it being insatiable, unquenchable, an unquenchable thirst. Understanding and knowing that makes all things you desire less desirable. It makes things you regret less regretful. It makes things you wish you had but didn't get less of a problem. Because you soften the blow of suffering through not reacting or being affected directly by it. And this is the purpose of our practicing meditation. It is, yes, about developing a calm and peaceful mind, about relaxing our bodies, relaxing our minds, and feeling good. Of course, that is why we do it. But it will also lead to this deeper level of wisdom, this deeper level of understanding that all that is causing your suffering, whether it be very minor and small, oh, I forgot to do this, damn, or big, oh, I've got 3 months to live, whatever the suffering is, when you understand its association with desire, it is no longer suffering. And through meditation you come to realize this, very slowly, very gradually. This is why we should meditate every day, purposefully, not as a ritual or a routine, but sit down with an agenda, even if it's 5 minutes. Now I will sit down, and if my mind is racing, I will just say to myself, may I be well, may I be happy, or I'll extend that feeling towards others. Or whatever method you choose when we sit to meditate, make a decision when you sit and stick to that until when it's time to finish. This discipline will develop that wisdom that you will need when your time is up, when you come to die. Because this is the one sure thing. And it's uncomfortable. Everything else in between birth, we have no decision about the birth. And we have no decision about the death. Everything else in between is really up to us. You've got 2 choices: suffer, or you can't stop suffering, but when you understand suffering, it is no longer suffering to you. Whatever bad is happening is still happening. The pain is still there. The house is still falling down. So there is still suffering, but you're not suffering. You're just watching the suffering. You're still dealing with it. You're still affected by it. But you're not suffering to the same extent. And little by little, in degrees, through meditation, this reduces. And this develops wisdom. So we do this, what we've done today, not for routine, not for worship, not for praying religious purposes. We do this for development of our minds, but more importantly, development of our hearts. Not these pumping muscles hearts. The heart we associate with love and this kind of not thing heart, yes? So it's like a cross between mind and heart. Mind, it's not soul, it's not mind, it's mind is the best description of it, but mind can also be deceitful. But you know you love someone, but you don't know where that is. You don't know where it's coming from. You cannot write on a piece of paper points that you've logically worked through in your brain to establish why you love this particular person. Similarly, your understanding of the Dharma is the same. The understanding of the truth, the Buddha's teachings, is the same. Like you can know love, you can know the Dharma. But you cannot write a formula for love. And you cannot write a formula for the Dharma. I cannot give you a book and say, here you are, That's a book on how to swim. And you jump in the sea or the river and swim to the other side after reading the book. You have to get in the sea or the river and swim, or practice first. Practice swimming. You can't get it from a book. There are no instructions. Some guidance, don't do this, don't do that, but you just got to do it. This is the same with the Dharma. You jump in at the deep end and you sit and you meditate. But the beautiful thing about it is it's so easy. All you have to do for a short while every day, not long, is sit and do nothing. Now it sounds easy, just sit and do nothing. But the hardest thing to do for most people is to sit and do nothing. But that's why we start with short periods and extend that time of meditation as our practice develops, until we can sit for a long time and do nothing. When you're sitting and doing nothing, you're not suffering. If you're sitting and doing nothing correctly. You can get doing nothing wrong. Sounds crazy, but if you're sitting there working things out, thinking, planning, this isn't doing nothing. It's sitting there working things out, thinking, planning. So we sit in meditation and we don't sit there working things out, thinking, planning. We sit there and we understand, oh yes, my mind is working things out. It is thinking, it is planning. My mind is doing that. Even if you have to say to yourself, hey, my mind's doing this all the time. It's going from this thing to that thing. What a mind I've got. If you're saying this to yourself, you're knowing what's happening. And it is that is knowing, that is witnessing, is the witness to your very existence here. But it is also that witness that doesn't suffer, that is not affected by anything that goes on around you. It just knows. When you're happy, it knows you're happy. When you're sad, it knows you're sad. But when you're happy, what knows, that isn't happy. When you're sad, what knows, that isn't sad. It just knows. This is the heart. In the Pali language, we call it the citta. Citta. Yes. So, this is what we work on, not our intellectual mind. And it's easy. We sit and we do nothing. And you can practice techniques that you can learn, or you can just try and relax. It is good at first that you have something to think about, so your mind doesn't wander. So most people will use the breath as an easy meditation to use. Watching the breathing in, watching the breathing out. And by using that as your meditation object, when you get up and you've finished meditating, it comes with you. So you've always got this reminder of your meditation. Your meditation object is not going to go away until you're finished with this world. To be sure, the last thing you will do is, I think, exhale. I'm pretty sure in your last moment you don't inhale. It's got to come out. But you might not know about the coming out of the air. However, breathing is always with us. It's calming, it's cooling, refreshing. And it's a beautiful meditation object. So why complicate life when you've got something so simple there to watch whilst you're sitting and doing nothing? Now, hopefully, you can, from what I've said, if you understand any of it, at least pick out that sila, doing no harm, very important, number one. Meditation, doing nothing, very important, number two. And wisdom, not learning, not intelligence, but understanding what suffering is, number three, very important. And these three things sum up the Noble Eightfold Path And if you're practicing every day sila, keeping those precepts, the moral virtue, and you're practicing some meditation, then just naturally wisdom will develop without any effort, because you will see what existence really is based on. It's based on these teachings of the Buddha, of there is suffering, a cause of suffering, an end of suffering, and this path we're talking about leading to the end of suffering, but it's the understanding, it's wisdom, the understanding that everything in this life, including our own life, is impermanent. We call that anicca. And that is partly what causes the suffering. That we have something and it doesn't last. All people we love will be parted from, they will be parted from us. Nothing lasts forever. Or we have something we don't want. Our fear is it will last, some pain it will last. But when we know everything is impermanent, the suffering of pain becomes less so. We know it will go away. It will end. And the joy of things we enjoy, the suffering of those things when they end, is less painful because we knew that was coming. Understanding impermanence, anicca, understanding impermanence, is part of that wisdom. Suffering we've talked about is just the basis, based on desire. We only suffer because of our desires. So that's the second, anicca dukkha. And all of this is out of our control. Nothing is up to ourselves. Okay, so they say anatta, non-self. But it means we cannot control. We don't know when we're going to die, we don't know when we're going to get an illness, or we don't know when we're going to come into serious, very good fortune, or have a wonderful thing happen to us. We can't control anything about these bodies or externally. We can help, we can assist, we can learn, we can work, we can do things to help others, but ultimately the universe will do what it's going to do regardless of our presence. Because we're here for such a very small time in the context of the universe. Very, very minimal time. So all you can do firstly is help yourself, then others. Okay. Another example of anybody on an aeroplane, you've got these share things come down. They always say, don't they? Put yours on first before you help others. Because you can't help anyone if you don't do that. You just will not be able to do it. And we learn this, we understand this. But I think you'll appreciate, don't worry, I know you're not going to answer, but that isn't a lot to learn or understand, is it? But that is Buddhism. There's suffering, there's an end of suffering, and there's a way to end suffering. And that way is just understanding that everything's impermanent, unsatisfactory, and out of your control. When you know that, you know there's nothing you can do about it, then you can relax. Meditation becomes easy. And meditation is the most pleasurable thing you can do whilst you're alive. But we do it to develop our minds. And it takes quite a long time of practicing in meditation. Like it takes a while to learn to swim or ride a bicycle. The same with meditation. No one can write it down and tell you how. You practice it until you can do it. And then it's a wonderful thing for you. Okay? So I've spoken rather a lot. I should have perhaps asked you to ask some questions first, and then I would have had a better gauge of your understanding of this, my lack of your language. So, do you have any questions about that, something else, or anything like that at the moment?
Eating knowledge,
sorry?
food.
Eating non-veg and veg is asking.
Oh, okay. You're asking me, is it okay to eat meat? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's your decision. The precepts in Buddhism, the 5 precepts are the only guidelines we have to this. It says no killing. If you go out and kill an animal to eat it, that's not done. If you ask for an animal to be killed to eat it, that's breaking the first precept also. If you know someone is going to kill an animal so that you can eat it, the same. So you use your own judgment on that. I don't eat meat, personally, but I think that came a bit before Buddhism actually, but for me. It's a choice. You can eat meat. When I've been in Thailand, when you're there, you have to eat what you're given. We're not allowed to ask for particular foods. And when you go on arms round here, people put food in your bowl, and that's it. That's what you're going to eat. So you don't say, I don't want that, it's meat, and I don't want this and that. You haven't killed it, but you have to stay alive. So this is fine. So in answer to the question quickly, it's okay to eat meat. But I wouldn't ever encourage anyone to do that myself. If they're happy not eating meat, and in India most people don't, it seems. And I learned to be a vegetarian here in India. So that was now, quite when I first came to India, it was quite a long time ago, and I was a meat eater when I got here. And I didn't really find meat like we had in England, so I thought, I'll stick to their local food. And it was very nice, all the vegetarian food I had here was so nice. I thought, yeah, I'm going to stick with this, it's a good idea. And I kind of learned about it here, so that's why I did it, not through religious purposes. That's why I'm a vegetarian. But your question is it okay to eat meat or not? I mean, if you don't cause the meat to be killed, then it's okay. And I think for dietary reasons, health-wise, some people, maybe they have a need to eat meat. Although I'm sceptical of that. I mean, everybody needs certain proteins and such like. I have to take vitamin B12 supplements because I also don't eat dairy products. So I take just a little pill twice a day, which is vitamin B12. Otherwise I wouldn't have this stuff, and I think bad things might happen to my brain and eyes. Or maybe I have already. But you can do that these days. So it's up to people. But really, not eating meat, it's a fairly easy thing to do, isn't it? But if you like it and you really love it, this is desire again. So you've got to keep an eye on this desire all of the time if you don't want to be suffering. Meat's also perhaps one of the most costly, expensive part of anyone's diet. So if you can do without it, you need less money. You can put the money you have to a better cause, or you can work less and put your life to a better cause and spend more time meditating. I mean, to become a monk, I couldn't just do it like that. I had to stop working for some time beforehand and live cheaply and differently. I did it in gradual steps, and giving up meat was a big help to that, because it saved me a lot of money. Especially in England, which is the main meat and a few vegetables, so that the balance is very much in vegetables' favour. Cost-wise, the balance is in a vegetarian's favour, even though it's more difficult to be a vegetarian there. Okay? Does that answer your question? So, do you meditate? I know you must practice some meditation. Yes? Yes. And do you use those techniques of watching the breath? Breathing? Yes. Okay.
We are doing Osho's techniques.
Okay. Yes.
Techniques involved in breathing also.
Yes.
Especially like Thailand.
Yes. So this is getting into another area. So if you remember though what I said in terms of what the Buddha taught, many other teachers have come since from what he taught. Many other teachings, I should say, have come since from what he taught by different teachers and in modern day. But if you look at the length of time those teachings last, it can show you how good they are. So a lot of methods that have been changed on, say, the Buddha's original teachings of meditation have kind of disappeared or aren't practiced widely, and the popularity dwindles. But the basic teachings of the Buddha, he taught 40 methods of meditation, but the most common is anapanasati, they call it, which is mindfulness of the breath. Mindfulness of the breath just doesn't, you can't get away from that. If you look up meditation, you're going to come across mindfulness of the breath, watching the breathing. Why is that 2,566 years after the Buddha decided to meditate that way? Because it works. So if all you've got to sit down and do nothing other than watch the breathing, which you're already doing anyway, and you can't stop doing, why complicate it? Why make it harder? I'll answer the question for you. Because it's difficult, and this happens, and that happens. All that happens is you want something else. Or you don't want something. You don't want it because it's uncomfortable. You don't want this meditation because it's boring. So I'll practice this weird breathing or something and make myself go faint. Yeah, that's just to relieve boredom, which you don't want. What is boredom? It's not wanting this current situation. It's wanting something else. Rather than doing all these breathing exercises or anything like this, sit and understand why you want to do that. Because you're finding it difficult to sit for another 10 minutes and do absolutely nothing. When you know that, it's easy to sit for another 10 minutes and do absolutely nothing. And then you've beaten that one desire to do something else. And one by one, as you meditate, as these hindrances try to stop us meditating, which they do, one by one, you can stop them in their tracks when you know all they are is desire. Desire is fire, it warms you up. You feel yourself warming up. Oh, I've had this idea, I could do this. Anything to get out of just sitting here still for the next 10 minutes, or 3 hours, or whatever. Then you know you're warming up. Go back to the body, come back to the breathing, feel the body warming up. No, you're getting desire and you're fueling that desire by jumping on board, developing it, thinking about it, like putting fuel on a fire. So, this is what we should be doing, or understanding. Doing nothing. Just watching the breathing is good enough. And 5 minutes of just watching the breathing is better than half an hour of any other activity. In fact, it's better than any amount of time. If you can purely just watch the breathing and not think for 5 minutes, then really you've mastered it. But most people can't. But we do not try to stop thinking.
Otherwise it will become concentration.
Yes. Well, also, you cannot stop thinking. So don't stop thinking. Stop and watch thinking. Yes? So reverse it. Don't stop thinking. You stop and watch thinking. And if you stop, it will slow down eventually until it stops. Yes? Because most things will follow you. Yes. If I'm walking along with someone else and I stop and they're some distance behind me, they'll slow down thinking that I'm going to go again. But then they'll stop too. Same with your thoughts, yes? You do nothing. You don't say, I've got to think of my breath because I'm thinking. No. You just watch the breath, because you can watch the breath and think at the same time. This isn't going to stop you thinking. So it's just that simple. You just stop and do nothing. If you just keep remembering, stop and do nothing, stop and do nothing, you're going to master it with practice, not straight away. And it's very gradual. But eventually, it's very much like it. So, yeah. And if you've got distraction, you've got noise, you've got speaking, you've got thinking, between everything, in everywhere, even between each breath in and each breath out, there are gaps. So notice the space in this room. Notice the space outside. All you're seeing is the people in the room, the furniture, the floor, the walls, the ceiling. But no, notice the space in this room. Notice the space outside. Notice the silence between the sounds you're hearing outside. Notice the silence between words. And it's this space and this silence is what you're looking for with all these efforts with Osho or Buddha or whoever. Yes? Looking for calm, peace, meditation. It's there already, within you. Enlightenment is within you. You're born with it. We just add so much onto it as we grow through our lives, with education, work, materialistic acquisitions. And we forget that we've already got everything we need. It's there, all around us. And when you meditate, you can enjoy it. You can take your conscious awareness and you can let it dwell, live, abide in space. You may hear the word emptiness mentioned when people are trying to stop thinking. Emptiness implies a container, and only something that is a container, a cup or a room can be empty. But spaciousness is everywhere. So don't think about enlightenment, nibbana, peacefulness, calm, being in emptiness. It's not that, it's in spaciousness. Your conscious awareness, your citta, the knower, in spaciousness. And where is space? It is everywhere. Within every atom that everything's made up of, there is space. We're made of, in Buddhism, we have 6 elements. So, earth, water, wind, fire, space, and consciousness is the 6th one with ourselves, because consciousness isn't a thing. It's not made of elements, but of course you wouldn't know about the elements without consciousness. But it's there, okay? So, you know spaciousness. Spaciousness isn't physical space, because that is actual gas, that's air element. I think of the elements more simply than traditionally. I just think of everything's the same in the universe. It is either solid, liquid, gaseous, so gas, so everything. It can be, I don't know where it starts, but say it starts solid, it will eventually melt into liquid, then it will get, as things get hotter, they turn into gaseous state, so we have gas, and different elements, chemical elements, have different levels, temperature, at which they do this. So I convert this chemistry idea of elements, like earth and water, into more of a physics idea of elements, like solidity, liquidity, gaseousness, so gas, ferrous, which is fire, burning, okay? And then we have spaciousness. Now you are made up of elements, including elements which are in their liquid state and gaseous state, and one day you will just burn. You're always trying to combust and burn and just be fire, and then there'll be less elements back to solid again. The rest of that energy has gone somewhere into space, okay, and transmitted somewhere else. So this is more of a physics view on the elements. But in meditation, when we meditate on the elements, you can just think, I am the same as this floor. And in this floor, there is as much space as there is in me. Now, where is my conscious awareness? Is your conscious awareness in this finger? No. Is it in this brain? Not really. Because this brain has got seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking all going on in it. And it's working out everything it sees, hears, smells, tastes and touches. It's working it all out from memory, past experience, what that thing it's seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting or touching is. And then it thinks about it and decides whether it likes it or whether it doesn't like it. And then you decide whether you want it or you don't want it. So from those elements comes desire. But when you know everything you want or you don't want is simply just something that is solid, liquid, gas or fire, then either if it's a problem, it's no longer so much of a problem, or if it's something nice, it's not so bad when it's gone, because you knew that was going to happen. So this element's understanding is an understanding into a nature, impermanence of everything, including universes. I understand, I hear, apparently, I don't know how they know, universes. In fact, the Buddha taught this also, so he knew all that time ago. Universes come and go too. So everything is impermanent. So we don't need to be worrying about the trivial things in life, and there isn't anything big we need to worry about other than feeling good, feeling happy, and this we can do in meditation. So unless you have some questions, I'm very happy. I could sit here for another 4 hours talking, but I don't think you'd appreciate that. If you have any questions, I'll very happily answer them. No?
While working, Bhanteji, while working, how can we bring our attention towards breath?
Towards the breath?
Yeah.
Okay. So, however busy you are, let's say, however busy we think we are, okay? Because our thinking minds and our physical bodies, yes, they're very busy. Our thinking minds are very stressed. And also, in the other sense of the word stress, our physical bodies are always under stress, mostly. But what knows that is always in the same state. Because where does it exist? Awareness, conscious awareness, exists in spaciousness. Now, space and conscious awareness aren't really quantifiable elements. There's no time and there's no chemistry. Whereas the other 4 elements, the traditional 4 elements of earth, water, wind and fire, require time and they require chemistry. So when you're working, apart from knowing that, when you're working, however busy you are, or think you are, just for a moment, okay, but not long, bring your awareness to your feet. Even if you're sitting in an office chair, okay, bring your awareness to your feet. Make sure your feet are both flat on the floor. This is just an answer to your question, a simple answer to your question. What to do to bring my attention to the breath or mindfulness when I'm working is, firstly, always come back to the body. And the best way to do this is to bring your awareness to your feet, both feet flat on the floor, if you're sitting down or standing up, and then take 3 deep breaths in and out. 3 times like that. And that will take you no more than about 10, 15, maximum 20 seconds. You can do that at any time, in any place. However busy you are, you've got 10 or 15 seconds to do that. If you set a little ping on your phone to make you do that once an hour or once every 3 hours, you will do that. And it's not even noticeable. People aren't going to say, oh, hey, what's this person doing? No one can see you're breathing in and out deeply 3 times and that you're consciously aware of your feet on the floor. No one knows that. If someone comes along, unfortunately, talks to you or pushes you, that's okay. You can just do it again a bit later. It's unlikely because it's 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You do this a few times a day, yes?
Yes.
You're bringing your awareness back to your body and your breath.
While any position, sitting, standing,
All meditation can be done in all four postures of sitting, standing, walking, lying down. But for this technique, it's not a technique, it's just something I do. If I'm walking and I'm finding I'm not so mindful for a moment, this you have different things suit different people. But sometimes if you just stand still, actually I heard this from a very senior monk. I read it in a book of his before I came to India. And India for a Western person when you first get here can be a little bit hectic, in Delhi. We're not used to such a lot going on. So I was standing there and everything was happening around me in bright colours, yes, and noise. And I'm thinking, wow, I don't think I expected this. And I just read this book, on the plane, and he said a couple of times in this book, stand still, bring your awareness to your feet on the ground and feel grounded. And I thought, I'm going to stand still, bring my awareness to the feet on the ground and feel grounded. And I just said that to myself like that. Yes, it's just that. So I did this, and I kept doing that for the whole month I was here. Because every time things got hectic, I just stood still. It takes a few seconds, nobody knows you're doing it, and you do feel grounded. Your awareness comes back to the body rather than being distracted and going out. Our tendency is to go out to things. So the reason you're not aware of the breath all the time when you're at work is because your mind, your seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching is going out, grabbing things and bringing them back to worry about and suffer more. But by coming always back to the body, you're bringing your conscious awareness back inside to your internal spaciousness, your internal refuge of peace and calm. And it really doesn't matter what's going on around you in those seconds. So, yes, this is how I do it. Body first. It will bring your awareness. It gives you the opportunity to then bring your awareness back to the breathing. But eventually, with this practice, you will find your awareness is always on the breathing. When you're walking to somewhere, when you're walking from A to B, bring your awareness to your feet again. So it's the body, okay? If you always remember body, breath. This is a good method when you're busy and when things are difficult. When you're walking, doesn't matter what's going on. When you're walking, bring your awareness to your feet. Stepping right, this is right. Stepping left, stepping right, stepping left, stepping right. Okay? Then you'll stop thinking about where you're going, and you'll stop thinking about where you've been, and right at that moment you're here, you're now, in this present moment. Stepping right, stepping left. As you lift, stepping right as you put your foot down. As you lift your left leg, stepping left. You're with the body. The body is always here. For the body, it is always now. It doesn't matter where you go, what you do, you're always here, it is always now. I can go to the other side of the world, where will I be? I'll be here, and it'll be now. I can come back again, where will I be? I'll be here. When will it be? It took a whole year perhaps, it'll still be now. We only have this moment. And like with your breathing at work, wanting to come back to the breathing, if you know why you're coming back to the breathing, then you can do it. If you think, I've been told I should come back to the breathing and watch the breathing, it's not going to work. But if you know coming back to the breathing, watching the breathing, is bringing me into the present moment, it's a wonderful experience, for sure. Easier sometimes with the body, starting with the body and then the breathing. So, you're bringing yourself into the present moment where there is no suffering, because it's timeless. The present moment is always now. All suffering requires time. Even the worst pain is not pain without time, because to understand, to judge, to feel pain, it needs to have longevity, some time. If you have a very bad pain, like a pinprick for instance, an injection, so there and gone. You don't worry about it, do you? But if you thought that pain was going to last the same level of pain for a long time, it would be a very horrible thing. Yes? So everything good, everything bad requires time, and it's the length of time that emphasizes how good or how bad it is. So at work, when we're busy, we come back to the body first, and then the breath. So it's not always the feet. Sometimes, you see, you may have some discomfort. You may be sitting at your desk and find you feeling some discomfort in your body. So you bring your awareness to that. If necessary, adjust your posture. This is in meditation as well. You know, in meditation we try not to move, and we sit still for the entire length of the meditation. Firstly, though, if we have some discomfort, we adjust our posture. If pain arises whilst we're meditating, a good way is to, if it has distracted us from our watching the breath, then to bring our awareness to that pain, to that discomfort, and making that our meditation object. You'll find then it'll soon go away. Like you lose your concentration or your awareness of the breathing, if you try and bring your awareness to the pain, it also will get lost. So therefore reducing the pain and the effect of the discomfort of the pain. And this is what we're doing in our everyday life. This is mindfulness. So mindfulness is just remembering, really, to come back to the body, and then you're in the present moment and able to watch the breath. And think of every breath in as quenching your thirst. The only thirst we can truly quench, the only desire we can truly satisfy whilst we're alive is our need for oxygen. When we're breathing in, it is so satisfying. And you think of it in meditation, but also just walking around when you're busy. If you can bring your awareness to breathing, just enjoy it like cool water on a hot day when you're thirsty. It's refreshing. Notice as you breathe in, you can feel the breath, because it's cooling, it's cool. When you breathe out, you can't really feel it. It's risen to body temperature, so it's unnoticeable. That's why they say in some techniques, watch the nose, because you can be sensitive to it. I prefer to watch the whole breath. I find that's more quenching, because your oxygen you're taking in is coming into the lungs and then infusing through the bloodstream, through the body, and quenching that thirst. So this is very important and good that you're trying to remember to watch the breath at work. But yeah, feet first, and then you'll be able to do that. And everyone can do that, can't they? Feet on the floor, breathe in. And if you've got the chance, when you breathe in, say to yourself, may I be happy, may I be well. May I be happy, may I be well. In your language, obviously. And then as you breathe out, just say, may all beings be well, happy, may all beings be well. May all beings be happy, may all beings be well. So breathing in, may I be happy, may I be well. Breathing out, may all beings be happy, may all beings be well. 3 times is going to take you 10 or 15 seconds. Not only have you calmed your mind, your body will calm also, settle, less tension, but you've included all of those beings around you, near and far, in your good feeling. You're sharing it. You're not sending anything out. It's not magic rays of loving kindness that we send out from ours. When we sit in meditation, practicing metta or loving kindness meditation, we're not really sending anything out. We're reminding ourselves that we wish to be happy. We're wishing ourselves, may we be happy, may we be well, may all beings be happy, may all beings be well. But like a flower that is beautiful, it isn't sending its beauty out to the people seeing it. They are seeing the beauty and witnessing the beauty for themselves in that flower. So if you develop loving kindness and metta within yourselves, all those around you will feel it also. You're not sending it out, you're developing it within. And all those outside will receive it. So all these things you can do with no time, all in less than a minute. If you do 3 or 4 of these things during the morning and a couple in the afternoon, it will make the rest of your day, or will make all of your days go more smoothly. It breaks it up. It's better than a cup of tea. I promise you. So we should conclude there. I don't know if I've gone a bit over time with the terms of what we had planned. So hopefully you'll be able to come to the Dhamma Buddha Vihara soon again. Maybe we can arrange and lots of people get together. So all these house visits we've been on, or I've been going to, I think what would be nice, if our app is picking up on this, is all those people came to our place, yes, for lunch. So they can come in the morning, offer food, you can all have a lunch, and then we can have some short puja, some meditation, some questions and answers. So in reverse, but more people. It would be nice at the weekend, when most people are not working. Would that be a good idea? So if Rayapa could organise something like that, it doesn't need any organising. The place is there, I'm there, it's it. Open the doors, turn up with a bit of food, everything's there. Is that right, Rayapa?
Yeah.
Yes. I think that would be lovely. If that happened every weekend, then it would be like a normal Buddhist place where that does happen every weekend. Okay? Or if you're in a Buddhist country every day. Okay? But once a month would be nice. So everyone comes on a Sunday morning, brings the food. And you don't have to do anything special. Just some rice and dal. And some salad. This is fine. You just bring what you want. Yeah? The monk, he doesn't need much. Some rice and dal's fine. And he only just eats that and then disappears. Well, he'll be around. But you bring all your feast, you set it up, you feed the monk, you have your nice lunch, then we have some puja, some meditation, some questions and answers, and then you can just stand around and talk, chat, get to know each other, discuss the Dharma, not politics, but share metta, share loving kindness for real with other people who we call kalyanamita, so noble friends, or beautiful friends it means really, but it's been interpreted as noble friendships, but beautiful friendships. You develop beautiful friendships when you have friendships with people that like the same things as you. And if they are good, wholesome, skillful things like the Dharma, practicing meditation, sila, meditation, and developing wisdom, then there's nothing better than those friendships. And you can develop those in that sort of hub of centre there of Dhammaloka Buddha Vihara, and make it a very, very, very valuable asset in this community for you all to enjoy together. Rather than coming one at a time here and there and going to a house here and a house there, make it a big event, a joyous occasion. We're doing it every night in the temples around here. I hear it going on. It's a wonderful thing and I enjoy hearing it. Azan every night, every morning or 5 times a day, and all the people showing up there. The festivals going on like we were hearing this morning over there where I'm staying. It's a wonderful thing to be celebrating happiness. And happiness, yes, we should be celebrating it and sharing it, not keeping it to ourselves alone. I'm alone, a monk, ordinarily, in solitude, living in the forest, outside, when it's not the rainy season. I'm here now for this 3 months because it's the rainy season. And the Buddha told us that's what we should do. And as he came from India, and now I'm in India, I know why he said that, because it does rain a lot, especially where I was staying. So, whilst you've got a monk also there at the Dhamma Talk, come there, give the monk a bit of food, and stay there. Enjoy the occasion, all of you together. Make a party, celebration, festival of your own. There aren't very many Buddhist festivals in a year, but every day can be a Buddhist festival if you want it. For me, every day is a Buddhist festival, and it can be for you also. So physically, you can have an enjoyable weekend and something to look forward to, and all have a change from your usual routine if you do that. I think we've done it like once for an occasion, or twice since I've been here, and I've been here now for 1 month of the 3. We're now on the new moon tomorrow. So no, is that a month and a half? That means I'm halfway through my stay here. Unless I'm asked to stay longer, in which case I would gladly do so. But technically, in terms of how long I have to stay here, I'm halfway through. So in the second half, it would be fantastic, excellent, sadhu, amazing if you all could come and visit more often, but together. Because when you come on your own, when people do come and see me every day, but I can't speak their language. So it's kind of awkward and embarrassing what to do. They sit there, I sit there, nothing, can't speak. You all come, you can talk and enjoy the environment, but also share some Dharma with each other, get together, translate if necessary, practice some puja and some meditation. Guided meditation can be given, it can be translated if it's nice and simple, that's no problem. And you've got a safe, happy environment to do it in, and you're giving the gift of sila to all those coming to join you. So that's one suggestion I hope you take me up on, and I'll look forward to seeing all of your happy faces there. Okay? So, that's a hint to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a hint to what we've finished. So let me just give you a little short blessing, and what's that? I've forgotten something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I made it. So, so it would be good if we could arrange, like, you know, the lady we went to, how she works in the week last week, this engineer lady. She had us there for dinner.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, most people houses we've been to, they're people that work during the week.
Yeah.
And of course, most people also have busy weekends too, and things to do. I appreciate that. But if you start something like this, it becomes something. If sometimes no one comes, just 1 or 2 people come, it doesn't matter. If every weekend, every Sunday, that invitation is there, it will develop to be. I've seen this happen in many monasteries that I've been in. You know, they start with no visitors and then they build up to a lot, at weekends. So you can do that. Now we're all doing that for each other, but we're doing it for ourselves because that's the best Dharma we can give. It's sharing what we have, sharing our happiness. It's all we're doing, sharing our joy, and it costs us nothing to do so. So just some time. Yes, I hope we can do that. But I'm afraid for the Osho fans, there won't be allowed to be any this dancing. Because monks aren't. You can dance, but monks aren't. Don't listen to music or entertainment or dancing. So I won't be dancing. Honestly, I don't think Osho was really dancing so much. He was pretty cool with this. So, but I know. Sabitiyo vivajantu sabarogo vinyasatu mate bhavatu antarayo sukhi digayuko bhavam bhavatu sabha mangalam ragantu sabha devata sabha buddhanubhavena sabha dhammanubhavena sabha sankhanubhavena sada soti bhavantu te sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu. Sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu. Sukhi bhavayam niduko aham nijam aham viyahitata me sukhi hontu majatata tavarino imani kamakatani sata hontu sukhi sada tato paranchara jesu chakavalu sujantaru sa